I think we have the time to conclude. What I plan to do is, I'll just give you those tips which were explained here after the completion of each session. So I have brought it in a format so that each and everyone can follow it. I put it in various sections. So this handout will be given to you a copy of it. Okay, I'll just read it to you. So, what heading I have given is the teaching methodology improvisation techniques. So is the heading. Okay. First point, before coming to the class, make ample preparation and be confident in the subject. If you are not, especially when you are not much familiar with it. Okay. Sometimes you may be a beginner in a particular topic. So in that case, you have to prepare a lot before you present it. Even if you are confident with it, if you just stay idle for a certain period of time, then it is highly likely that you may forget the topic. You may lose touch with it. So you should make a very good homework before coming to each and every class. Second point, be in the right framework of mind before entering the class. Believe teaching is a divine profession, as I told you. You should be in the right framework of mind. Yeah. Then you are going to impart knowledge, and you should make sure that it reaches to students to the expected level. So that framework of mind you should have. Okay, you are going to impart knowledge to the students. That's a divine profession which you are doing. So you should be in the right framework of mind. You should be highly positive, as the teacher in the morning session said. Okay, that positive attitude build-up is very important. Then once you enter the class, the following tips can be used to improve the teaching skills. Try to remain pleasing in your expression as well as in the sound. Because we have seen several people who are pleasing in their expression, but some of you are pleasing in their sound as well. So that as the aspect, if you can bring it, that will be really good. Okay. Then start the class with a breaking start. Example, loud greeting like good morning can always invite the attention of students. As I told you, you start with a breaking start. So it will definitely capture the attention of the student. Then remember that the teacher should be like a storyteller. So start the class with a nice introduction in which you can briefly narrate what all things you are going to teach in that class. So before you, as I told you, some of you have done it already here, right? So before you start the class, you have to give a small abbreviation, some small introduction on whatever is actually going to be taken in that class. So for that, you actually have to do some homework. Then always move while you conduct lectures, because a moving object can always capture that attention. Keep moving always, as you have done. Most of you have practiced here, and most of you are successful here in that. And then maintain a proper voice modulation. That is, a voice should be loud enough. Raise your voice a little bit to give emphasis on the necessary technological terminologies, and maintain a constant speed. Pause whenever required for a student to assimilate the topic. So your voice should be loud enough. You should pause as and when required, especially after you say a particular terminology, because you should give ample time for the student to assimilate it. That time you have to provide. So that is, and you should give emphasis, raise your voice as and when required, especially when you introduce a different terminology. Okay. Then try to maintain eye contact with each and every one of your students while moving, because it can get a focus of each student, and you will always be able to know once you get distracted, once they get distracted, as I told you. You can track their eyes always. Once a student gets distracted, what is the solution? How will you know? Because they will be looking somewhere, they'll be losing that eye contact. In that case, you have to pause a question to them. Okay. And you have to call them by their own name, so that they can immediately come back to the class. Okay. Then once the student gets distracted, as I told you, call him by his name and pose a question to him so that he can immediately come back with the class. Then try to correlate or connect the subject with real world examples, illustrations and stories, because the brain works on the principle of correlation. Okay, that some of you have already done it here. Then give a nice briefing of whatever is being taken in the class before you conclude. Then give an interesting hint on what will be taken in the next class just before winding up the class. That too, some of you have done here. Then try to maintain a good and constant energy level throughout the class. That is very important. Okay, that energy level, because suppose if after coming to class, if you stay timid, or if you are a kind of, if your body language represents a tired expression, that will again spread to the students, right? So you should always maintain that energy level, even if you are tired. You should at least pretend as if you are energetic. Okay, so that is contagious. That can give a boost of the energy of the students. And then make judicious and optimum use of the whiteboard. That may be a controversial at times. That's what I have written here. You have to make a judicious use of a whiteboard. That means only when you introduce a terminology, you can write it. But the entire definition, you don't have to write. Okay, for that you can make use of a slide presentation or an interactive demo, which you have to make on your own. Okay, that interactive demo making skills you have to practice. For that you should get exposure to the right kind of software and all. We are coming to that. Then, okay. Then another point is, I have written a definition on engineering. Engineering is the application of science and maths to solve simple and sophisticated problems in various areas to make a human life better. How do you find this definition? Engineering is the application of science and maths to solve simple and sophisticated problems in various areas to make human life better. So basically you are applying science and maths here. So your class should also be application oriented. Okay, that means whenever you get a chance, so try to make the class application oriented by quoting applications of the concept of theory in the real world situations. For that, maintain a constant interaction with the industry by making visits, working as consultants, etc., and share these incidents with the students. Is it possible in your case? But in developed countries, you can see that teachers are basically consultants in their own areas, because they will be attached to the consultancy of the institution. Institution will have a consultancy. In Cochin University, we have a consultancy there. So civil engineers working there are linked with the consultancy centers of the university. We have a soil testing lab, other labs there. So they will get an exposure with the industry. So that industry exposure is highly essential. Because when I take a class, and because as you know, my area of specialization is CAD and multimedia. So when I introduce a topic on CAD, what I do is I also work as a consultant for architects. So I share my experience which I had with them. So I quote most of the theory, I correlate with the real world examples so that they can make a better understanding of the topic. They will be motivated in fact. So simple explanation of the theory is really boring, right? So for that you should get a very good industrial interaction. Then always update yourself to improve your teaching skills. That is the most important point which I have written last. That is, learn latest CAD and multimedia software such as AutoCAD, 3D Studio Max, Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Premiere, Adobe Director, etc. to make good quality presentation materials which can communicate better than using a slide or a whiteboard. Okay, it means you have to make interactive presentations on your own. So it can make a better impact than normal slide-based presentations. So how will you do it? For that you should get a proper exposure on all these multimedia softwares. Okay. So a circuit, it can come one by one, and each and every component can come as per the order, as per the priority, as an animation. For that you have to learn that. For a civil engineer who is explaining a concept, can make a 3D model of it using AutoCAD or 3D Studio Max, and you should present it in a three-dimensional manner so that you don't have to use any virtual prototypes. Mechanical engineer normally makes use of prototypes, right? To explain certain concepts like IC engines or any mechanical V-block assembly and all. We normally make use of prototypes. You can completely eliminate the prototypes. Make use of 3D models. Okay, 3D models, virtual prototypes which we call as. Then you can simulate it. That means you can make these prototypes work in the computer screen so that will always get registered. So it can make a better impact on the students. Okay. So the last but not the least, I have written, you can remember and follow these tips and it can definitely make an impact in the way you teach. Always believe that a teacher is a guide and a good friend. Okay, so that you will always go amicable with the students, you have very good relations with the students. Never go hostile with them. Never go hostile with them. Because I had several experiences in which when I became hostile, I totally lost relationship with them and it was a real mess. I normally never go hostile, but at times when I lose patience, I was supposed to go hostile. But now I am a very friendly teacher, I am a good guide to them, so I have got I have made a very good relation with the students. So even after the completion of the course or the program, they will never forget you. Okay, so now you have Facebook. So they will always get connected with you somewhere or other. Who knows, maybe in future a student can help you in some walk of life. Right? Even I had some experience. I don't have time to put all those things here. Anyway, this is what I have written in this. This handout will be given to you. Be patient enough to go through all this. If you need any clarifications further, you can just get back to me. I have written my contact information and all that in this